The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is A Numbers Game with Gil Alexander on VSiN.
Good Friday morning tune is A Numbers Game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, and of course, SiriusXM channel 158. It's Gil Alexander. It's Wyatt Tomchek in for the vacationing Kelly Bidlin. Bidlin, I think already, well, maybe not. Maybe still in Miami. On his way to Turks and Caicos for a week.
I know it was a quick turnaround for him getting into Miami.
Oh, in terms of then he hops on. So
yes.
Airport hotel for an exorbitant amount of money, and then he hops on.
Not enough time for him to get kicked out of the blackjack table.
No. Nothing like that down there. This is Wyatt Tomchek, everybody. He is the voice of UNLV women's basketball, and as we're going to find out momentarily, an expert on a certain subject. On the show today, though, we are packed, Wyatt. It is Friday. You know what that means. Fezzik Fridays a little later on the show. Anything that's on Fezzik's mind, I'm sure we'll get into some rando topics. NFL draft is my prediction. We'll get into that as well. Not my prediction. I can sort of lead him that way. So we'll talk about that and so much more. Does he even bet it anymore? Is it over? Chris Felica with bets in multiple sports. And when I say multiple, I'm not just talking about two. It's going to be about 4 or 5. Felica from Fox Sports, of course, the Bear. Also will join us as well. Jason Weingarten from Under a Cloud of Smoke, whatever he's betting on. Paul Carr, Premier League play. We've got bets from him. We'll also review with Paul what his preseason futures were and how those did and are doing currently. So we'll do that with Paul, in addition to his weekend picks. Jake Hahn with an NHL playoff preview, though, coming up momentarily. The NHL playoffs are set, and it's one of these fascinating sort of things where 10 of the 16 playoff teams are between 8-1 and 11-1 to win it all. So Jake's going to give us all of his plays in the opening round series, who he thinks is going to hoist the cup when all is said and done, and see if he has any plays in the initial games this weekend. We'll do all that. First, before we do anything else, I probably should get this out of the way. There were no tennis plays overnight. Yesterday, 4-1. And the one was we were up 6-1, 5-1. She had a match point. She gacked the whole match. So we ended up 4-1 yesterday. Great day because there was a couple big dogs of north of $2 in those. There were none overnight as we're getting to the business ends of these clay court tournaments in Europe. Nothing overnight, but we have 3 plays, one of which is probably just starting right now, probably if I looked over my shoulder. It's Alex de Minaur against Carlitos Alcaraz. De Minaur plus 370. And I'm taking a shot at him today. It's never fun going up against Carlos Alcaraz, but this seems like the time to do so in this kind of match at this kind of price with a player as great as de Minaur. So that's the play right now. And then a little later on, Stefanos Tsitsipas, minus 101 against Arthur Fils, the Frenchman. And then on the ladies' side, which is coming up a little later, our girl, Tiansoa Sarah Rakotomanga Rajauna, plus 185 against Suzanne Lemens. 2 ladies that we actually won big dog matches on here in their previous matches. So those are the 3 plays: de Minaur, Tsitsipas, and Rakotomanga Rajauna.
I'm glad that fit on the graphic.
Yeah,
and I'm glad you didn't ask me to say it.
Oh, no, that's true.
That's Kelly Bidlin's skit.
That is his. Well, but I should have probably asked you. Okay, so here's the thing. So I just want to introduce Wyatt because Wyatt's going to be with us next week also. But 2 nights ago, so I live in the middle of the Strip. Obviously, I've been here for F1. F1 is its own Michugas. But there's the Super Bowl, there's March Madness, all this. So 2 nights ago, I live in the middle of the Strip, a pitching wedge away from a CVS and a Whataburger. So the Deborah Song fashion stylist sends me out to get her something at the CVS, a bit of medicine, and to get burgers at Whataburger. So I go and I notice, I'm like, where are all these people coming from? Like, so in the CVS, just to give you an idea, to get to the medicine, I had to wait in a different aisle because there were so many people packed into the aisles of CVS that you couldn't even get to see if the medicine you wanted was there. And then, once you call them and I open a cabinet, there was 3 people on top of you as well. I was like, what is going on? What is happening in this town? There's also the line at Whataburger was 30 deep, then turning the corner, see humanity coming down. And then, I don't know, you're driving around, the Goodyear blimp is out there. So finally, yesterday after the show, our buddy Aaron Oster casually mentions to me, it's WrestleMania, right? So that's the reason. WrestleMania is what's causing all this mayhem.
The greatest spectacle in all of sports, Gil.
You're a massive fan of this.
Oh, yeah. It's something that me and my dad, that's kind of one of the few things that we bonded over. He got me into wrestling. back in an age when it was not really suitable for kids. I lost the ability to watch wrestling about 3 or 4 times from my mom. But it's something that I just have had a passion for, and for some reason, I retain a lot of knowledge. I can't remember where I parked. I'll probably forget where I parked today. But I can tell you who won the main event of WrestleMania back in 2002.
Who did, by the way?
That was Triple H. He beat Chris Jericho.
Sure he did. WrestleMania 41. So I know nothing about this, right? But Vegas is packed. Bill Adie, our CEO, our founder, had a experience where he was going up an elevator. He writes about this in the VSiN newsletter, where he said, all these young wrestling fans, he was like, I was at WrestleMania too, and they were like super impressed by him. So we can't, just from a betting standpoint, we cannot bet on this in legalized markets, correct? This is
not that the way Aaron was talking about it. It's yesterday. He had a good point about, because I think DraftKings was trying to do it back in the day, but it's real tough because obviously this is predetermined, and if it gets out, obviously you can get a little bit of a betting edge on it. So
it's not only wagering on events with fixed or predicted outcomes. It's also they can change the script any moment they want to.
Yes, somebody can get hurt in a match and be like, "Hey, we've got to flip everything."
Okay, so they don't run the risk of that. However, there are faraway places where one can bet on this.
Yes.
Do you have picks, first of all?
If we go through this, I can give you a pick for every match.
For every match,
I could. Yes,
okay.
I like what I got.
Before we do that, are you going to this?
Yes, I'm going. I'm going both nights.
It's at Allegiant Stadium.
It's at Allegiant Stadium. It is in the nosebleeds, but just for the opportunity to go to WrestleMania, this is John Cena's last WrestleMania. One of the GOATs of WWE.
Oh, sure, everybody knows that.
I think potentially Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock is going to be there. But it's like you get an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl once. I think you're going to take it, no matter where you're sitting.
Are you going to? First of all, you know this is fake, right? You know it's not really real.
You know,
right?
Ego only wins on clay courts.
Don't even start, because that's just false. Wait, so are you going to jump up and just start screaming at someone? Do you get that excited?
If I hear the glass shatter for Stone Cold Steve Austin, we're marking out.
Wow. And just to give an idea for folks,
I might be given the double bird.
Are you in your 30s yet?
29 plus 2.
Okay, so just want to give an age range.
31.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's do this. So let's start at the top. What's your favorite? You want to start just in chronological?
So what WrestleMania or WWE did over about 5 years ago, they split it up. It used to be you had about 7 hours on one night, and it was just exhausting. You get to the main event, you're like, all right, it's time to go to bed. So they switch it up from night 1 and night 2. So this is the night 1 card, and right off the bat, it is for the World Heavyweight Championship. You've got Gunther, who is old school style wrestler. This is a wrestler that you used to watch in the day, Gil. Old school heel wrestler versus main event Jey Uso. Yeet. He's not in the main event.
What the hell was that you just did right there?
That's his thing.
Oh, okay.
So
sure.
when you said, are you going to be doing stuff in the crowd?
Yeah.
Jey Uso, he likes to do this.
Okay. Okay, stop it. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
This is why I'm single.
Yeah.
I like Jey Uso in this. This is his opportunity for his first ever championship, World Heavyweight Championship. But they call him Main Event Jay, but he's opening up the show because sometimes the powers that be don't like him.
Okay, do you have any idea what the price is on that kind of thing?
I do not. I thought you were going to have that. I'm sorry.
Oh, you thought I was going to do part of this. Okay, all right, I'll find the price here for you. All right, Jey Uso, keep going.
I like in the World Tag Team Championships.
Jey Uso is a $7 favorite.
Yeah, he lost to Gunther 4 times. The fifth time is the charm.
All right, well, let's get to something that's bettable here.
I like the New Day over the War Raiders. The New Day is kind of like Gil going to a Philadelphia Eagles game. Nobody likes him. They're going to boo him. I like the New Day here. El Grande Americano. A new wrestler who most people...
You like the New Day?
I like the New Day.
Also, minus 1,000. Come
on,
1, Wyatt.
Give me El Grande Americano.
El Grande Americano in the singles match against Rey Mysterio.
Yes.
Okay. I'll find that.
Let's see. I don't really have much on the Jake Cargill Naomi fight. All right, the Jacob Fatu. This is going to be another popular pick. Jacob Fatu is a super heavyweight that flies like a cruiserweight. He is an absolute beast. You like LA Knight? Yeah. He's a great wrestler, great character, but I think this is Jacob Fatu's night.
Okay, wait. El Grande Americano is minus 150 against Rey Mysterio.
Yes.
So that's bettable.
Yes.
Did you have anything in Cargill versus Naomi?
I think it's Jade Cargill, but I think she's got to be a massive favorite.
Okay. And then the next one was?
I got Jacob Fatu over LA Knight.
Fatu over LA Knight.
Yes.
Okay.
And this one here, Tiffany Stratton, we call her Tiffy Time.
Sure we
versus
do.
Charlotte Flair, who is obviously Ric Flair's daughter. This is a little spicy matchup. These two had some mean insults with each other a couple weeks ago that were off script.
Mean insults.
I'm going to go with Tiffany Stratton. And then for the main event, here real quick, I'm going to go with, so you see this guy Paul Heyman here. This is he's going to be the wild card in this matchup. Paul Heyman, famously built up ECW. He is friends with Roman Reigns and CM Punk. I got Paul Heyman aligning with Seth Rollins in a screw job there at the end of the night. I got Seth Rollins winning that match.
A what job?
Screw job.
That's what I thought you said.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to the good one. John Cena, Cody Rhodes. This is for the undisputed WWE Championship, right?
Yes, this is John Cena's last WrestleMania. This is his final year of wrestling. It's a retirement tour. And for the first time in over 20 years, he's a bad guy. At the Elimination Chamber, The Rock asked for Cody Rhodes' soul. Cody Rhodes said no. He looked at John Cena and said, do the job. And John Cena decided to punt Cody Rhodes in the Family Jewels and decided to become a bad guy. Right now for John Cena, opportunity here to win his 17th, count it, 17th World Championship, breaking a record with Ric Flair.
Wow.
To be the GOAT, probably the GOAT of WWE professional wrestling.
Minus 270 favorite. Going to win?
Yes, John Cena's going to win. I do expect some chaos in that match, and I do expect The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin to appear.
Logan Paul, going to win?
Yes, I like... Logan Paul, by the way, great bad guy. Everybody, boos the absolute heck out of him, but he is super athletic, super talented. This is his push to become a world champion in the next year.
Wyatt Tomczyk, everybody, on WrestleMania 41. Well done, Wyatt.
Thank you, sir.
Well done. Now get the hell out of here. We got to talk about real sports. If you're still there, hockey next with Jake Hahn. Coming up on a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Want to bet smarter? Start with Smarter Insights. Right now you can check out Greg Peterson's MLB Best Bets, the VSiN staff Best Bets for the NBA playoffs, and Nigel Seeley's Premier League picks. Later today you can check out Zachary Cohen's Saturday NBA Best Bets and player props, Steve Makinen's MLB Trends and Systems, and Adam Burke's MLB Best Bets. Right now you can sign up for our summer special for only $59 for full VSiN Pro access until August 1st. Just head to VSiN.com/subscribe. That's VSiN.com/subscribe to sign up today. Also didn't mention that later on the show, Carl Sack will join us. I don't know how we're going to fit in everybody. There's not enough time. But Carl Sack will join us because this is sort of inspired by the VSiN bracket challenge that we did for the NCAA tournament. But Carl is the brainchild behind the VSiN Killer Sports NBA Playoff Challenge, which is going to be a handicapping contest throughout the NBA playoffs of 15 of your favorite handicappers, many of whom are NBA hardos. There's a bunch of us from VSiN that are in that 15, but then there's some great NBA handicappers from outside of VSiN. Carl will be here to tell us all the folks who are participating in this, and you could follow along during the playoffs. But basically what you'll be getting if you follow along is over 500 total picks from all the participants. So it's another way to really try to bet the NBA playoffs. You get all these expert picks through this VSiN Killer Sports NBA Playoff Challenge. But it's not only the basketball playoffs this weekend, beginning in earnest, of course. It's also the NHL playoffs as well. The NHL postseason heading to the Stanley Cup final around about June. And Jake Hahn is here to help us through with all of his first-round bets, all of his insights for Conn Smythe, futures, all of that. Jake, of course, co-host of the Point, the fantasy hockey show on Sirius XM NHL. You can follow him on Twitter at JHahn4. That's JHAHN4, the number 4, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. How you doing, Jake?
Gil, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Glad to be with you and breaking down the first round of the NHL playoffs. I know you mentioned first round of the NBA playoffs as well. As a sports fan, as a gambler, it's just paradise over the next couple of weeks, right? We've got games every single night, and I'm excited to watch the swings of these series. I think one thing that's really jumped out to me, just sort of a general thought here off the top, it feels like we've gone back 10 years in terms of the totals that we're seeing in the National Hockey League. Now, goal scoring had gone up. For a handful of years, we were seeing 6.5s, heck, even some flat 7s in some places. Now we're seeing no total, at least for the game ones of these first round series, no total over 5.5, and even some flat 5s back there, which is kind of where we were 10 years ago or so. So we're back to that low scoring playoff hockey that we used to have all the time.
And this is what makes the NHL playoffs. This is what makes it so fascinating. Also, because I mentioned at the top of the show, you have 16 teams, 10 of which are 8-1 to 11-1 to win it all. So more than half of the teams that are in the postseason are in that short of a window, right, and that close, bunched up to each other to win the cup. And you have, and I talked about this the other day, what the NHL did, they used to have 1 through 8 per conference in the playoffs, and they'd play it that way. Then they switched to this division format. And what they were trying to do, what in essence the goal of that was, hey, let's make the first round more interesting with more compelling matchups. And they succeeded in that. But my question to you, Jake, is did they succeed at that in a way that now they're almost like, ooh, I don't know about this. I'm curious your opinion. And what I'm referring to is, of those teams that are the shortest shots to win it all, what you end up having happen now in these first round matchups is, in the Central Division out west, you have the Avalanche as a favorite over the Stars. So it's the third place team in the Central against the second place team in the Central, where the third place team is the favorite. And those two teams are among that group at the very top that I'm talking about, right? The Avalanche are 8-1. They're a co-favorite, if you will, co-short shot to win this all. The Stars are 9-1. And then in the East, similarly, Atlantic, the third place team in the Atlantic, the Panthers, are a short favorite over the second place team in the Atlantic, the Lightning. So in essence, again, 2 of the top 5 teams in terms of the outright markets. So you have these teams that are going to eliminate one of the big contenders off the bat. Is that ultimately a good thing for the NHL playoffs? Is it a good thing for betting?
So I think it's a great question. I think from a betting angle, Gil, I actually do think it makes it a lot easier to visualize the bracket and to see, okay, this team is going to go here. This team is going to get this team in the second round, possibly this team in the third round. And I think from a betting angle, it can actually help you, at least for me, visualize the bracket and just kind of see how things are going to shake out. Maybe find a spot of the bracket that's a little weaker than other sides that we can attack and say, well, someone's got to make it through this side, right? So let's attack one of these teams and then maybe we get a hedge opportunity later on. I think if you polled most hockey fans out there, they would want to go back to 1 versus 8. I myself, nostalgic for the 1 versus 8. I never thought it was broken. I understand why the league did it. And you mentioned it, right? To get some of these matchups, also just to create rivalries. We're getting a lot of the same matchups over and over again, or rivalry teams playing each other. LA and Edmonton for a 4th year in a row with these two teams going head to head in the first round. You get the Battle of Florida yet again. So decide for yourself whether you like that or not, or if you'd like to see different teams play each other. I've always been in this camp, Gil. I like good matchups in the first round. If I just want to make sure that we're going to get them. I don't need to save them for the conference final all the time. I'm okay with 1 or 2 marquee first round matchups, and that's what we have this year. Florida, Tampa, Dallas, Colorado. Those are the matchups going right up on the marquee every single night those teams play. I think any hockey fan is going to be jacked up for those 2 series.
All right, let's get to a couple series plays that you've made. Again, if you just look at all 8 series that are out there right now, the Caps of all these 8 are the biggest favorites against the Canadiens, les Habitants, minus 330 favorites. The most close to a coin flip is the aforementioned Panthers Lightning series, where the Panthers are just a slight favorite. You have a play in that series.
I do, and I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Lightning. As crazy as that might sound with what Florida's done the last couple of years, Gil, winning the Stanley Cup last year, making it to the Stanley Cup final the year before and losing. So fading the Florida Panthers in a playoff series has not really gone well over the last couple of seasons, but I do think eventually it does take its toll a little bit, and Tampa is a perfect example of that. They're a team that won 2 straight Stanley Cups, tried to make it 3, made it to a Stanley Cup final, ended up losing to Colorado that year, going for the 3-peat. And they have felt the effects, I think, the couple years after that, right? They just didn't feel like they had that juice when they got to the first round. Now, I think the Lightning have done a terrific job keeping that core together and adding pieces with the salary cap being an issue for them. And it feels like they're back to being the Lightning from a few seasons ago. And the Panthers, now they're saying they're fully healthy going into game 1. And I do expect everybody to dress, but they've been dealing with a lot of guys in and out of the lineup. And I think it's just tough to find your form game 1 of the postseason, especially against a team like Tampa and a goaltender, a guy we've talked about a lot over the years, Gil, in Andrei Vasilevsky, who's coming in great form. When he's in form the way that he is right now, he's tough to beat. So I like the Lightning in this series, especially getting a slight underdog price with the team that has home ice advantage.
That's the most closely or most tightly lined of the first round series. The next closest is also out. This one's out west, actually. This is the third place team in the Pacific taking on the second place team in the Pacific in a best of 7. The Oilers, respectively, third here versus the second place Kings, a slight favorite, minus 135 over the LA Kings, plus 115 on the comeback for the series price. You have a play here.
I think we're getting a good price here strictly based off history, Gil. If you look at the last 3 years, yes, Edmonton has eliminated LA every single year. And I think a lot of people, we go back to Rory McIlroy over the weekend, right? You and I talked about it a bit off the air before I came on. Everybody thinks he's never going to get it done because he can't get it done. It's done. It's always in his head. He's never going to win at the Masters. Well, sure enough, he steps up and he gets it done. So I think we create these narratives sometimes in sports where we just think, oh, a team can't do it because they haven't done it the years previous. And I think that's part of what we're seeing with this number. I think LA is the better team right now. They've been the best home team in the National Hockey League all season long, and they have home ice advantage in this series. But yet we're getting a plus 115 price. And I think a lot of that's just because Edmonton's beaten them the last few years. Now, we know they have McDavid, Draisaitl. The high-end talent on Edmonton is unbelievable, but I think that they've lost a lot of that depth that helped them get to a cup final, a game 7 cup final last year. I think a lot of that's been stripped away, whereas I think LA has added to their depth from last year to this year. I like the Kings to win this series, Gil, and maybe even play some alt lines. I think, Kings 4-2, like if you could find a -1.5 spread on the Kings, I don't mind that because I actually think this one could get away from the Oilers quickly.
All right, rapid fire to close here, Jake. Give us do you have any plays in the Western Conference, Eastern Conference, or for the Cup itself?
So I have a Capitals 35-1 future from way back. Washington Capitals 35-1. Obviously, they've moved way up the board now, and they've got we talk about nice sides of the bracket. I mean, they're gonna have to face an inexperienced Habs team, and then jump into a potential second round matchup against Carolina or New Jersey. So Washington really actually hasn't played their greatest hockey over the last few weeks. I think the Ovechkin goal chase drew a lot of oxygen into that team. So they're kind of going to have to do a bit of a reset here, but I think playing Montreal in the first round starting at home is going to give them a chance to do that. So I still like my Capitals number. Obviously you can't get that number now, Gil, but if you want to jump in, I mean, Alex Ovechkin around 30-1 for the Conn Smythe right now. What a great story that would be. Pass Ovi, Caps win the cup, go on this great run. And I do think if they actually hoist it, there's going to be a lot of bias towards Alex Ovechkin if the numbers are close between some of those players.
That was going to be my last question. So that's a market. We're talking about Conn Smythe. That's a market where Nathan McKinnon, some of the usual suspects are the short shots. Nathan McKinnon of the Avalanche, 13-1. Connor McDavid of the Oilers, 15-1. And then you have the goaltender of the Winnipeg Jets, Connor McDavid, who is 18-1, but you kind of, because of the narrative, you kind of like the Ovechkin 30-1.
It's a good way to get a little bit of a better number on a team you like, right? You like Washington, then take Ovi. If you like Tampa like I do, take Nikita Kucherov 28-1. I think that's a pretty nice number as well.
Jake, we'll talk to you throughout the playoffs, man. Appreciate it.
Really looking forward to coming on, Gil. Have a great weekend.
My man, you too. Jake Hahn on the cusp of the NHL playoffs. Soccer next with Paul Carr.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
The NFL draft starts next Thursday, and VSiN knows every pick matters. Tune in for 2 special live shows breaking down every pick from a betting perspective. VSiN Primetime Draft Edition starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, followed by Cashing Out Draft Edition at 11 p.m. Eastern, plus explore our NFL Draft Hub on the VSiN Watch app, featuring exclusive analysis, team needs, and insights. Visit VSiN.com/draft for full coverage and stream it all live on the VSiN Watch app. That is, what is that now? 6 days away. Cannot wait for the NFL draft. And here in a numbers game, we will try to flood the zone with some more draft experts next week. We're going to do a Beating the Book podcast as well. Vegas Refund, sign up for that. Luke Swain, who was on yesterday, who gave out a plus 650 play yesterday on the show. I went out and grabbed that at 7-1. New Orleans to go defensive line / edge first. So that was great, but we'll also try to get... obviously, Drew's going to have his thoughts on it, but maybe a little Cleve TA and Andy Molitor. I don't know. We'll just flood the zone with NFL draft coverage next week. We get tweets, and when I say we get tweets, boy, oh boy, after that first segment, we sure get tweets. Pat Montefiore, on courtesy of Twitter here, Beating the Book. Any more tennis matches where we have a player with a broken arm we're fading? None today, Pat, but he's referring to Ugo Humbert yesterday, who we faded correctly. Winning on Fabian Marozsan, the Hungarian, yesterday. Jack and a Prius 2.0. Little sprinkle on Chris Bassett for AL Cy Young at 50-1. Jack and a Prius making his Cy Young play on the Jays pitcher. Harold Irving tried to grab Diminor 4-1, and it dropped to plus 330 after your release. When I just mentioned it on the air, yeah, he was right around high threes all day yesterday. Rob Smith, Gil, I'm 55 years old. Your typical old boring guy, but if that glass breaks at WrestleMania, it's all out the window. I'd be up screaming like a 20-year-old again. Las Vegas 514, yo, SD Jones versus Tomchek. Who you got? Tomchek, because SD Jones always loses. He always made that amazing comeback when we were kids, and then he'd always lose at the end. Jacques Mihoff, Iga future after Navarro lost to Ostapenko yesterday. He says, I'm in danger. What he's referring to is that in Stuttgart, Iga's got to play Yelena Ostapenko. Iga is 500 or better against every player on the WTA Tour except for Yelena Ostapenko. She's 0-5 against her. So that's her kryptonite. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I think she breaks that streak tomorrow. Logic 3227. They've just released a documentary on Peacock on WrestleMania 9 in Vegas. They had put up odds at Caesars for entertainment purposes, but they had to take it down because too many people were trying to bet it. Also, big wrestling fan here. Rat City. That was the best segment in a numbers game history, he says. Talking about the WrestleMania segment. Buddhist man quoting me, if you're still there, hockey next with Jake Hahn. Kevin at Clonebone. I used to watch wrestling consistently, but it just drags on Mondays and Fridays now, so I just catch the pay-per-views. Let's go, Gil. I want to hear you yeet. Yeah, it's not going to happen. I don't even know what that is. I saw Wyatt do it. I'm like, I'm not in that game. Corbin, as someone who's even younger than Wyatt, I'm 25. I haven't watched or been immersed in wrestling since I was 12, but I don't give a damn how old I am. If I think Stone Cold might be there, I'll be watching it, and yes, Gil, I will be shouting in my apartment if it happens. Charles in Connecticut, Hoop Homer, get in the car, turn on my VSiN preset because it's 10 a.m. Time for Gil in a numbers game, and I hear wrestling. Had to glance and make sure I was on the right channel because the wrestling channel is super close on Sirius. Let's go, Cody, he says at the end. Scott, New York Mess 16, do you think they would have Cena go out as a champ, as a heel? Triple H and Flair are good friends. That would be a slap to Rick. I see Cena turning on The Rock and going out a good guy and raising Cody's hand at the end. Oh, my God. He also adds all Canadian conference finals in hockey, perhaps. Primetime, Cowboys _ Cubs 1. Yo, hey, man. Are we sure that Country Club and Kelly K. Michael Bidlin really is headed to Turks and Caicos? Word on the street is he may be donning a mask and secretly participating in WrestleMania. Can Wyatt confirm or deny this rumor? Also, the Crusher from the mean streets of South Milwaukee is the GOAT. Roger Jones, Brocco wins. Does Wyatt know if Mad Dog Vachon or the Crusher are fighting, quote-unquote, at WrestleMania? And Chris Heath, racing to the sportsbook to bet Gunther. Ladies and gentlemen, I understood about half of those tweets, but thank you for all the feedback. Apparently, y'all love some wrestling. Paul Carr joins us now from Topeka, Kansas, the Heartland, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. You can follow him on Twitter at Paul Carr. Once again, Paul, TruMedia Networks, the Expected Value Podcast, and, of course, the Ringer Soccer Gambling Podcast as well. How you doing, Paul? Did you understand any of that?
No, the over-under on words I understood there was like 33%.
You were saying off air, which I thought was funny. If Wyatt had come in here and just said random names to me, I'd have been like, yeah, sure, no, that's a wrestler. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that guy.
Sure. Is Sasha Banks still around? Somebody could get back to me on that. I'd appreciate it.
The Ultimate Warrior is not still wrestling, is he?
I have no idea what we're saying. He passed away, I'm being told. Passed away, Paul. May he rest in peace. Okay. Before we get to your 3-pack of Premier League picks this weekend, you got a couple tomorrow, you got one on Sunday. Let us review, sir, some of your preseason picks, if you will. Is this an exercise that scares you? How's this going to go?
No, I think this one will work out all right. We're going to hit one, probably two.
Okay.
A couple others reasonable, but didn't work out.
To win the title was Arsenal, plus 170, not so much.
Not so much there. The play obviously was Liverpool plus 600, 650 in that range at the time. So I guess I was right that, to fade Man City, but I thought Arsenal had another leap in them, and they most definitely have not. A little bit of injuries, but really just haven't had that ability to make another jump up the table. So that one didn't work out.
All right, here's a good one. Newcastle top 4. You went plus 230. They're sitting in third place right now with 6 games left. They're minus 330 now, so you're looking good there.
Yeah, this one's been weird. They've been like plus 200, plus 250 all season almost, and just kind of hanging around where you're kind of in it, kind of not. Nothing's changed, and they've been on a good run the last few weeks to make this one look really good. Plus, everybody else, Chelsea and City, have just been scuffling. So this one's looks like it's gonna pay out pretty well.
Yeah. What could go wrong, Paul, down the stretch?
What could go wrong?
6 games to hold on to that one. How about Brentford top half, 4-1? They are currently in 11th, just on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
But they got some points to make up.
Yeah, they're in 11th. So you're like, we're in good shape. But they're 5 points back at 10th. There are 3 teams that are 5 points ahead, so they got a shot They probably need to win this weekend against Brighton, one of those teams that they're chasing. So, it's one of those, like, the bet and the price were good to get there. It may or may not work out here.
This one is cha-ching. Southampton to get relegated. They are dead last with only 10 points this year. Nice job.
Yeah, they've already been relegated, so I already cashed this one. So, yeah, that's nice.
Plus 110.
Just
nice
kind
job.
Of a note for next year, we may just want to fade the newly promoted teams. This will be the second straight year all three newly promoted teams are going to get relegated. And I think the money gap in the Premier League is just coming into play even more. So if you can get anything close to even money on a newly promoted team next year, that's probably going to be a good bet.
If it ended now, they'd have the worst record of all time, right? But they still have 6 games to beat that.
Yep. Yeah. They'll catch that 07-08 Derby County team.
Okay, how about for Golden Boot? Who did you have in that?
So I had Alexander Isak from Newcastle at plus 1,600. He's tied for second now, but he's 6 goals back of Mo Salah. So this is one of those where I think it was a good play. You're essentially fading Erling Haaland, and who ended up getting hurt, and City's having a relatively down season. So I think it's a good play at the price. It's not going to work out. The play obviously would have been Salah at plus 1,200, plus 1,400 in that range. I didn't think he had that much left at age 32, but he definitely proved me wrong there. So this is one of those where, I like the play. I think it was a good one, even though it's probably not going to win.
All right, so if Newcastle holds on to a top 4 finish, you at least have eked out a profit on those, if my math is correct.
Correct, yes.
Okay, all right. Not too shabby. We'll take it. Moving the chains is all he does. All right, to the Premier League. By the way, nice job on the draw. Champions League this week. Nicely done.
Yeah, 2-1, a couple plus money bets, so yeah, good week in the Champions League.
All right, to the plays tomorrow. 2 games on Saturday in the Premier League, and 2 of them are they're both totals.
We got 2 totals. Yeah, we'll start Everton, Man City tomorrow, under 2.5, even money is my price. 6 straight Everton games with 2 or fewer goals. This is a byproduct of David Moyes, their new manager, who is their old manager. Took over in January, and they're kind of finally starting to play Moyes ball, which is just, keep it tight. You call it the equivalent of like Pittsburgh Steelers or something in the NFL. Keep it tight, keep it low scoring. Maybe you sneak out a point or something like that. So I expect that's what they'll do here also. Man City's offense hasn't been great. Erling Haaland, I mentioned, is injured. They did hang 5 on Palace last week, but only 5 goals in 6 games before that. So 1-0, 1-1, 2-0 type of game. I think that's what we have here.
All right, and then over in the Crystal Palace-Bournemouth game.
Yeah, I mentioned Man City hanging 5 on Palace. Well, Palace has conceded 5 goals in each of its last 2 games. Only 1 home shutout in 11 games at home since Halloween. So the defense, it's okay. It's not bad, but I think they went on a really great run the first quarter of this calendar year or so, and I think that's catching up with them a little bit, wearing down. Bournemouth, 5 of their last 6 have had 3+ goals, and Bournemouth will press you. They have the second most possessions started in the attacking third, so that just means things are going to happen. They're going to get fast break type of opportunities. And so I think there's going to be goals one way or another. It feels a lot like a 2-1 game, one way or the other. Don't have a strong feel for a side, but I like over 2.5 at -135.
All right, and then Sunday it's the proverbial mismatch of the weekend, at least on paper. Arsenal, which looks like they're headed to a second-place finish in the Premier League this year, against Ipswich Town, which is headed towards relegation, and you are betting this how?
I'm taking Arsenal win to 0. This is every bit the mismatch you would expect for a relegation team versus a top 4 type of team. Arsenal's defense has conceded the fewest goals, fewest shots. They've dominated the newly promoted teams this season. The one asterisk I'll throw here is that Arsenal is focused on Champions League a little bit. They made it to the semis. They don't play next week in Champions League, though they do have a midweek Premier League game. So there's a chance they rotate a bunch of guys in this game. I don't think that matters too much, getting +120 on a win to 0 bet here, but I did want to give a heads up just in case people see unfamiliar names on the team sheet come Sunday.
All right, we'll recap those for everybody at the end of the show, along with all our other bets. Thank you, Paul, and enjoy Seinfeld tonight.
Thank you. He's coming to Topeka. Let's go.
Let's go. Jason Weingarten next.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Horse racing fans, get ready. VSiN at the track. The road to the Kentucky Derby is live today and every Friday leading up to the Triple Crown with key Derby prep races this weekend. We're breaking down the top contenders for this year's Run for the Roses. And don't forget, join experts Mike Somich and Aaron Halterman today, 2:10 p.m. Eastern on the VSiN YouTube channel at VSiN Live for expert analysis and insights. Don't miss it. VSiN at the track streaming live, 2:10 p.m. Eastern as we count down to the Triple Crown. Gil Alexander, Kelly Bidlin on vacation. Wyatt Tomchek doing a bang-up job with WrestleMania 41 to start off the show in his stead today and next week as well. Updating some stuff, our tennis play, our first tennis play, a monster dog on Alex de Minaur, who we got close to $4, but not quite $4 dog. I want to get the exact price again. What do we have on, what did I get? Plus three, I want to be accurate. Plus 370 on Alex de Minaur. Up a break in the first set against Carlitos Alcaraz. No need to get excited yet. There's way too much tennis to go, but he's up a break in the first set, so that's a darn good start for us there. RBC Heritage Golf, where I had the short shot Scotty Scheffler, not nearly as sexy as doubling back on Rory after the first round last week at the Masters. Yet to tee off, Scotty Scheffler starts the day 3 behind Justin Thomas. Russell Henley and Scotty Scheffler both start the day 3 behind Justin Thomas, none of whom have teed off yet at the RBC Heritage at Hilton Head. But the big mover of the day, a couple big movers, Mackenzie Hughes, the Canadian, 4 under for the day through 11. He is also 7 under par now, 3 behind Justin Thomas. And what do we have? We have Carl Phillips as well. Didn't see this. Carl Phillips, who is having himself a spectacular day here on the leaderboard. He is 6 under through 14, 6 under for the tournament, so he is 4 back as well, the Australian. So Justin Thomas, see if he can back up an amazing day yesterday with a 10 under 61. See if he can do that a couple days in a row and see if he can stave off all of those guys heading towards him, including perhaps Scotty Scheffler today. Joe Pita back with baseball plays here before we get to Jason and his baseball thoughts. Joe Pita, who on the season, first of all, he's been kind enough to just provide us his baseball plays each and every day, or as many days as he's been able to on the show. On the season here on the show, he's 19-17 for plus 2.01 units. 19-17 plus 2.01 units. Joe has 5 plays today. 5 plays today in Major League Baseball. He's on the Orioles, minus 150 against the Reds, hosting the Reds in a little interleague play. That's crept up to about minus 160-ish, but shop around for these. He's on the Rays, Tampa Bay Rays hosting the Yankees today. You can actually get a better price than Joe had. Joe had minus 105. This one against him. The Rays are plus 107 dogs in the game today against the Yankees. He's also on the New York Metropolitans. Mets are hosting the Cardinals. He's got the Mets at minus 163, right around that price right now on the Mets there at Citi Field. He's on the Rangers. Texas Rangers is a plus 117 dog. The Rangers are hosting the Dodgers today. So he's taking the Rangers as a dog. You can get a few pennies better than that, perhaps, hosting the Dodgers today. And finally, the fifth and final, the Astros. He's on the Houston Astros. He's got the Astros at minus 138 today. That's the fifth and final play. The Astros hosting the Padres, who have been red hot. Astros right around minus 144, so shop around, see if you can get the best price. So Orioles, Rays, Mets, Rangers, and Astros from Joe Pita, his baseball plays of the day. Speaking of baseball, Jason Weingarten joins us from under a cloud of smoke, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line at Spreadopedia is where you can find him on Twitter. What's happening, Jason?
Not much. It's Friday morning, getting ready for baseball myself. Got a nice card today, so should be a nice day. I really wish we had more day baseball on Fridays. It's really just criminal how little day baseball they give us on Friday afternoons.
Why do they think that that's beneficial? They must have come up with some cost, with some money assessment that it's better for them to do that, right? Because it's people are at work, so they must figure let's do this all. But for bettors like ourselves, we would love it to be spread out during the day.
Partially, I also think it probably has to do with players' union and players not particularly liking playing day games, and day games mean travel and tighter travel schedules a lot of the time. So I don't know. I mean, I like you said, I just wish as a bettor we had more baseball, but I guess that's what minor league baseball is for.
I guess that's what minor league and other random leagues around the globe are for. What did you end up in MLB today?
I bet the Yankees. I bet the Yankees game. I bet that over 8.5 runs. I also bet the Mets that Joe Pita mentioned. I bet minus 164 on the Mets this morning. And I don't have a bet on this game yet, but Joe Pita also mentioned it. Dodgers Rangers. Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Jacob deGrom tonight is actually going to be a pretty nice game. I'm looking forward to watching that myself. I said I don't have a bet on this yet because I haven't had a chance to get the numbers, but I think I'm going with the yes score first inning here with DeGrom and Yamamoto on the mound. You're probably going to find a couple books posting a really nice plus money number, plus 110 or higher, something like that. I would very much be shopping for that bet today. That's very high on my list of bets to make today.
Let me ask you this. When you and I used to do yes run first innings years ago, before like Yerfy and Nerfy and these terms got, popularized and everybody's betting these things now. But we used to have, when it was a battle of aces, you could get yes runs for like plus 150. What's the highest it ever goes now?
I saw plus 175 on opening day with Skeens versus Alcantara. Didn't win, but I mean, like, if you give me a plus 175, I'll probably play those blind almost every time, unless there's some sort of like massive crosswind or some sort of weather reason why I shouldn't. But you're actually seeing better prices in some cases the last 2 years, like. On real short totals, you'll see really good prices. I think they've gotten better at making this market because I see my win go down. I'm not winning as much money on this market as I have in past years. Not even so much this year. It started probably a year or two ago. I still bet them. I just I don't plan my day around them anymore, so to speak.
No, I remember that you used to do. You used to actually do that. So what are all the baseball plays? Just list them for me.
Waiting for a line on the Dodgers first inning. I got the Yankees over 8.5 minus 105 and the Mets minus 164. Other game I'm looking at, I haven't bet yet, is Guardians minus 124 versus Pirates. I know it's really early in the season, but some days I just start thinking to myself, am I going to bet against the Pirates every day this season that Paul Skeens isn't pitching? Because I might.
Yeah, you have come on here many times and you have said you believe they are the worst team in baseball for sure. All right, beyond baseball, you said you had some golf that you were betting.
Yeah, I got the China Open this weekend. Eugenio Lopez Chikara came over from Live trying to get his PGA Tour card. He won in India, I think, 2 weeks ago. Is now back tied for the lead in China at the Volvo China Open. So I'll probably have my eye on that tonight. Try to watch some of that. Otherwise, I don't have a ton going. I have the Dominican Republic event and the PGA Tour. Got Garrick Higo. He's in second place. 4 shots back at the moment, but still early second round. So got my eye on a couple of the golf tournaments. Rose Zhang, she hurt her neck in Vegas at the match play event. So she's out. I hope she gets better soon. It's been killing my LPGA betting not having her around, but it's good. Golf's going. Masters was good last week.
What did you have in the Masters? Did you have Rory?
I bet some Rory live. I had some Rory top 5. I had Corey Connors top 10. Overall, it was a good Masters. Masters tends to be a hit or miss event for me. And then live betting, the round by round leaders was a decent live opportunity. So I was happy with how that went. And we're on to the Volvo China Open as Belichick.
All right, last thing, because and I always ask this of you, and I always think, I'm like, why am I asking? He can't be adding every time he's on, but it seems like you do. Any other baseball awards bets that you added on since the last time we spoke?
Nothing yet. I'd like to. I have a couple positions I'd like to continue adding to. I think the NL Rookie of the Year market is wide open. Sasaki is the only guy who is really taking advantage. But for the rest of the weekend, one of the big bets I'm going to be trying to get some more money on is Shedeur Sanders over draft position. I think there's a good chance he enters a free fall once the draft starts.
Yeah, it's interesting because like a few, Luke Swain made this point, Vegas Refund yesterday. There's a lot of players in this draft where the difference, the gap from where they could be picked, very high versus very low, seems wider for more players this year than in recent memory. Jason, appreciate it.
Thank you. Hope you guys have a good weekend. We'll be back next week.
You too. Jason Weingarten, everybody, at Spreadopedia. Chris Felica, Fezzik with Fezzik Fridays, and a little Carl Sack in hour number 2. On the other side, it's a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.